Welcome to Pick a Side. My name is Michael Rapaport. Some people call me Mr. New York.
I like
fun.
that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And I am here with the mayor of New York, Mayor Eric Adams.
Good to be here with you.
Reigning from Brooklyn, Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Yes.
I know you don't have a lot of time. The city never sleeps. You probably get next to no sleep. So I'm going to just jump right into
If
it.
the city never sleeps, I can't take a nap.
I'm sure you don't get to sleep a lot. So I'm going to just jump into it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, a terrible, terrible thing happened Saturday night. There was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Where were you when you heard about it, when you found out about it? Where were you?
In the office at City Hall, and one of my security detail came in and just sort of said, listen, this is what happened. We want to make sure we take necessary precaution on our side as well, because political violence is real, and people are in dark places and they sit and get radicalized on social media. They're alone. It's amazing how the radicalization on ideas and concept. And so, you always have to be on top of this. And, they wanted to make sure that, listen, we're going to take the necessary precaution on our end.
For you.
Right, because we don't know what happens.
Right.
There are copycats. You'll be surprised who's lurking in their bedroom or in their basement right now, lurking up a plan. Like this person is starting to reveal how many guns were in the house, what his thoughts were. So there's a lot of pain out there.
There's a lot of pain out there. Listen, I'm sure you get it. I'm just a trash talk. I'm not going to curse because you're here. I get death threats.
Well, you can fucking curse.
Oh shit! Holy fucking shit! Holy shit! I could fucking curse. He just said it.
You be you, and I'm gonna be me.
Fuck! He threw me for a loop. I mean, did you ever imagine? It's been so long, I think it was 1981 with Reagan, and I was 11. You're a little bit older than me. That was all over the news. There was no social media, but I remember being scared. I knew nothing about politics, but being so scared that they could get so close to a president. Did you ever imagine that something like this would happen with somebody who as famous and as polarizing as Trump? You would think his Secret Service, his security detail would be the top of the top. It seemed like something had to have gone wrong because it's literally a matter of inches, and we wouldn't be doing this interview today.
Right. I don't think it's inches. I would say inch. The bullet, as it appears, pierced his ear. That's an inch away. And it's obvious the person did a lot of practice because that was pretty close. But I don't think people realize that, like or dislike Trump. This is not about Donald Trump. I immediately thought back when I was studying to become a lieutenant in the police department. I was driving down Atlantic Avenue and I made a left turn on Colossus Avenue. Someone drove inside my car and they called out my name. And I looked to the left. He had what appeared to be a 9mm, and he pointed at the car. I hit the gas just in time. That instead of the bullet hitting my window, it hit the rear window and shattered the entire glass. And you think about that. I think about my mom, my brother, my son was a young child. He was a newborn at the time. You think about all of that. And when you see what happens, so we move the former president out of the mix and think about his wife, his children, those who support him. I mean, you could be in contrast to him, and some people want to hate on those who support him. In America, you have a right to support who you want. We don't have to agree in America.
I agree.
You have a right to say this is how I feel. You have the right to protest the right, and so. When a 20-year-old can...
20 years old.
Think about it. When you look at the streets right now who are carving highways of death with 9mm bullets, they're teens. And the violence is just at an escalating level. And then social media is just helping to continue push that violence.
And desensitize.
Yes.
Because you see the fighting and the shooting and even the President Trump thing. And we're talking about it now, a couple of days after. But by Friday, this will be old news. Fortunately, because it wasn't that serious of an injury. I'm going to jump around a little bit.
Yeah.
You're from Brownsville, Brooklyn. I am very familiar, grew up spending a lot of time in Howard projects, played for the Brownsville Jets, the BRC.
Okay.
You talked about Pitkin Avenue, making a left, somebody pulling a gun. You're a cop, longtime cop, even before you're a cop. Growing up in Brownsville, you know violence. You understand the violence. You understand the violence in New York. You are a cop. You've seen the best of humanity, and you've seen the worst of...
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
By the way, also, before I even go further to ask you a question, do you and do people really understand what kind of a miracle it is that the mayor of New York City is from Brownsville, Brooklyn?
Oh, but without a doubt. But it's more than that. I think that, and what I am hoping is that, first of all, I'm an urban mayor.
But you're a Brownsville, Brooklyner. You're not from,
Yeah.
like, explain, do me a favor. Explain, you'll do it better than I can. Explain Brownsville, Brooklyn to people that aren't aware of it. Mike Tyson's from there, MOP is from there. There's all these people that are from there, but explain the reality of growing up in Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Well, and Brownsville always had a reputation. That's what the book Tough Jews came from. You know, if you would look closely at the buildings, you would see many of the Star Davids, former synagogues, the Jewish community, when they lived there, it was tough also. So there's always been a history of toughness in Brownsville. It was it's a community that has often been betrayed
It is betrayed.
Yes, but not given the vital services that it deserves and opportunity. When I go and look at where many of the young people come from that's on Rikers Island, many of them are coming from communities like Brownsville, South Bronx, South Jamaica, Queens, etc. And so it's a community where you have good, hard-working people that have not received the resources and support that they deserve. And people lump in the numerical minority that are doing things that are bad. They want to make it seem like everyone in there. And I always never forget this story when I was a lieutenant in the 88th precinct, and we went into public housing, and there was urine in the elevator. And the young rookie cop said, "You see, Lou, these people don't deserve anything. They urinate in the elevator." And I said, "Let me tell you something. One person pissed in the elevator, and everybody in this building is upset about that. But if you police communities based on the one person that pissed in the elevator and think everyone pissed in the elevator, you're going to give them inadequate services." And that is what happens with all the city resources. They define people by the one person that pissed in the elevator, or the one person that writes the graffiti, or the one person that does the sticker, instead of saying, these are good people that don't want this at the same place.
Do you feel a personal obligation to do something for Brownsville? In my opinion, and what I know, Brownsville is like this problem that's unfixable. It's the largest population of housing projects, I believe, in the country. It's ungentrifiable. Do you feel a personal obligation to fix it? And how can it be fixed? And I know you're probably like, what are you talking about? Why are you so? Because I spent so much time there, and I know how fucked up it is, and I know how much of a dead end it is. And I know that, you know, better than other places, just how, like, people don't even have a shot at getting a shot from Brownsville.
And I think you're right. I think that I've stated this on the campaign trail. If you lift up Brownsville, it's going to lift up the entire city, because you know, you can't continue to waste resources. Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who is a mentor of mine, said, "We spend a lifetime pulling people out of the river. No one goes upstream and prevent them from falling in the first place." That's what we do in the Brownsvilles of America. We allow people to fall in the river, and then we go downstream and we want to pull them out. The reason, I believe, is because you look at the ethnicity of those who are falling in the river. In some cases, we push them in the river. They're black, brown, and poor. And then people are making so much paper out of pulling people out of the river. There's no profit upstream. So,
is there no profit upstream?
No.
So how can you fix that?
What you must do, number one, you must have someone that has gone through that bullshit to realize the betrayal. So when you look at my life growing up in Brownsville and really South Jamaica, Queens, you know, learning disability, dyslexic, you know, I started running numbers. I started, you know, buying a nickel bag, making 8 joints so mommy could have $3 to buy the food.
I didn't know this.
I didn't want to go to school. I was like,
I need my own security detail. I didn't know what the. Sorry, go
I
ahead.
was like, you know, why am I sitting in this classroom being called a dumb student? You know, my brother and I got arrested at 15. Police officers beat us when we were arrested. So when you look at someone that has an urban mayor that has gone through that and saw the betrayal, when I went to Rikers Island last year, or this year is all much together, to get rebaptized with the inmates. I wanted to sit down with them and tell them, you know, when you look at my life, I want you to see the bend in the road is not the end of the road. And when I go there and I say, how many of you brothers have learning disabilities? 8 out of 10 of them raise their hand. So we're doing dyslexia screening in schools. So if that Eric Adams of today is going to learn he's dyslexic, learn he has a learning disability, and so he don't think he's dumb, he's going to get the support he deserves.
Mayor Adams, I'm going to ask this question as a Brownsville dude, and I'm asking this as a Brownsville dude with all due respect. Fuck all that. What can you do while you're the mayor for the people? Forget any other places of Brownsville.
Well, okay.
Period. Like specifically, what can be done to help fix like something about Brownsville? It's fuck. They don't even have basketball courts in Brownsville anymore. Not that they need any more basketball players out of Brownsville, but they don't even have basketball courts in Brownsville anymore. The BRC is not functioning anymore.
Well, a couple of things. The Brownsville is a name and a word you know. There's no difference between 40 projects. There's no difference than Sotomayor's houses up in the Bronx. And if I only say, okay, I'm going to fix Brownsville because I'm for Brownsville, then I'm doing a disservice.
I get that.
I must have a holistic approach. And so you mentioned the BRC. We just dropped over $100 million to redo the BRC. You know, all those years, it never got to support
The BRC or all of these places?
BRC. Focus
Wow.
just on BRC. We're going to get a state of the art because that place is more than just a place to go play
100%.
ball. It is, you know, when you think about Jocko and
Yes.
what Jocko meant. And so the goal is you must have a holistic approach. If you're really going to do this, you can't put a Band-Aid on a cancerous sore and expect for it to heal. We are looking at what are the upstream solutions that we can do. And so when you look at Brownsville with all of that housing, number one, when I was knocking on doors giving them masks during COVID, people would say, why are you wasting masks on them? I learned that many of these children didn't have high-speed broadband inside their homes, so they couldn't do remote learning. Now, every night shift residence, including Brownsville, as you stated, one of the largest areas of public housing, everyone have high-speed broadband for free. We went in and started doing employment in what we call hiring halls. We went right in the community center there. You'd be surprised how many generations of people have never had a 9-to-5. So we are holding their hands and showing them you're employable, and we're giving them the support that they deserve so they can get employable, because it's about a job. When you are able to provide for your family, you're not slinging drugs, you're not doing stick-ups. You need to give people the opportunity. And then we are leaning into those justice-involved young people. We are showing them a pathway, giving them employment, teaching them some of the technical training that is coming from that area. So there's a holistic approach from healthy food to good quality health care to leaning in foster care children. But those plans that we're doing is in the Brownsvilles of our city.
Got it. And I hope it happens for all the Brownsvilles of New York City, because Lord knows there are so many. I'm pivoting. I saw you speak at the Hatzalah event. I saw you speak at a synagogue that while I was watching my Shabbat services. You've been very outspoken about the anti-Jewishness. I don't call it anti-Semitism. It's anti-Jewishness shit that's been going on here in New York. You know, I'm not talking about crime in New York yet, but Jews in New York are scared. Jews in New York are concerned. Jews in New York City are uncomfortable. August is right around the corner. The campus encampments that have taken place are embarrassing. I was up at Columbia University while it was happening, and I could not believe that this was happening. I could not believe on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, at Columbia University, what was happening. That night, the police went in there. They ripped down signs that said, "Honor the martyrs." And you spoke beautifully and passionately about the protest outside the Nova exhibit right down here, the Nova Music exhibit, which was some of the most disrespectful, vile things said in public in modern years. That same day, these fucking guys dressed up as terrorists, cosplaying terrorists, got on a subway in New York City and said, "Are there any Zionists on the train? If there's any Zionists on the train, now's your chance to get off the car." What is going to happen? How are we going to fix these protests? People could protest all you want, but showing up with a mask covering your face, being able to say whatever you want, protesting yesterday outside a synagogue in Queens, like, where are we at with all this stuff?
So let's go back for a moment, because I'm consistent. You know, it's not one group. There's a when you do an analysis of my history, during September 11 attacks, when Muslims, family members were being attacked because their wives wear hijabs, I stood on 30th, 1st, and 3rd Avenue because young boys were arrested from the Muslims community. They decimated Coney Island Avenue, where the Palestinian community was, and I said, we need to release these young people. It's wrong what's happening. When women were attacked a few years ago for wearing a hijab, I was borough president, I went out and walked the streets. Someone put out a flyer of Kill a Muslim Day. I went and walked with my Muslim brothers and sisters. I opened up Borough Hall when Donald Trump said there should be a Muslim ban. I had one of the largest demonstrations with my Yemenis brothers and sisters. So there's a consistency.
You mean in terms of you not tolerating this?
Right, exactly. There's a consistency. There's a consistency when it happens to members of the LGBTQ plus community, the African American community, the Hispanic community. Wrong is wrong to me. And so when I saw what happened on October 7th, and many people don't even know the depth of what happened. They may have read the story and they say, oh, it was a terrorist attack. No. When you look at what happened, and that's what I believe the Jewish community is making a mistake of not releasing the videos. People need to really see.
Where can you release them though? Because I'll tell you, on social media, you can't. I've released stuff on Instagram, Facebook, and I got Instagram, Facebook, Meta of Tel Aviv backing me up. They're telling me, yo, it's going to get taken down no matter who releases it.
Yeah, we did what they did over in the Nova exhibit downtown. The chancellor took a group of superintendents there. People need to see what really happened. They don't know what really happened.
I agree.
And what people need to really understand is when you walk around here and it has become chic and it has become this popular thing, oh, I am Hamas, I am Al-Qaeda, I am Hezbollah, you know, all that sexy. Hamas will kill them. Someone came up with someone was marching up the day.
Tell them, Miss Mayor.
Someone was marching up the day saying gays for Hamas.
Right.
I said, are you for real? Who are you kidding? Hamas killed Christians. Hamas killed LGBTQ. Muslims. They will kill
Catholics.
Exactly.
Anybody who's not radical jihadist.
So what you have here, you have the sensationalism of everybody wants to wear and dress up and wear a sign. You know, listen, I've been in Lebanon. I know what Hezbollah is doing there. I've been in the Middle East, in these countries, and seeing what they're doing there. And then I say to people at the same time, we have to be consistent with our bullshit. Don't tell me that you're concerned so much in one part of the region, but you're ignoring what's happening in Haiti. You're ignoring what's happening in Sudan. You're ignoring what's happening in South and Central America and in West Africa.
Or in Brownsville, Brooklyn, or Chicago.
Exactly.
These campuses in Chicago,
right,
they're fucking out. I'm like, yo, go down the block and help some people in Chicago.
Right. But it's not sexy. See, that's the internet instant generation. When you, on the weekend, when you go sit down somewhere and you're having tea and you say, oh, I marched this week, you know, to free Hamas, you know, that's a bunch of bullshit, you know, and you're acting like that you are conscious of saving humanity. If you are conscious of saving humanity, then be consistent with your stuff. Right here in this region, we're seeing what's going on in Haiti.
August is coming. School's going to be back. College campuses are going to be open. New York, Columbia, NYU, and the schools here out in Long Island. How can Jewish kids feel safe? How are we going to avoid what happened at Columbia, NYU? what can happen? And also to double that up, I know you've talked about it, and I know it's a governor thing. The keffiyeh scarves,
Right. Mm-hmm.
The cosplay. You can protest, but like how? When is it going to be against the law to do this and cover your face?
Used to be against the law until COVID happened, and now it's allowed. I strongly believe, as you know, I pushed even before October 7th. I was talking about don't allow people into your place of business with a mask on or until they temporarily remove it so you can see it. A lot of people are committing crimes, both hate crimes and crimes against everyday working class people. I'm a big believer we need to do away with wearing masks in protest. The governor is contemplating to bring that law back because the law was in place. So when we talk about for safety on our camp,
How long would it take if the governor said, I agree to do that?
it depends on her. She could
Like
determine.
a week, 2 weeks? How does that work?
The law has to be changed back. Has to go back to the lawmakers up in Albany, the Senate and Assembly. They're going to have to agree on it, and it has to be passed to make it happen.
So how long generally does that happen?
It
Average?
depends. They're out of session now. If she could make the determination, or the leaders up there could say, do we want to come back and deal specifically with that? Or it could wait until next session happen.
When is that?
That's in January. They go back to
That's not acceptable.
Yeah, well,
Mayor Adams, that is not acceptable. That is not acceptable. It's disgusting and it's embarrassing to the city that it's going on. That shit that happened outside the Nova Festival, and you spoke on it.
Mm-hmm.
This fucking guy on that train, and I know he got arrested, it's unacceptable that you could say these things.
Well, I know it is extremely challenging for people to actually actualize, but I'm not the state lawmaker.
I get it.
I'm the city lawmaker. I'm the mayor of New York. So
how can the people, the big mouths like me,
yeah, there
pressure
you
it till
are.
January?
I like that. What often happens, no matter whatever happens bad in one's day, they look for the mayor. Someone stopped me the other day and said, I'm getting divorced, man. It's your damn fault. So everyone knows the mayor. That. But I like to be clear. There are roles that I have and there are roles that they have. And I got 99 problems.
I got it.
I don't want to finish the sentence.
But you got 99 problems. But a keffiyeh scarf at a rally screaming anti-Jewish things is absolutely one. So tell me this.
Yeah.
How can it be fast tracked? Give me a suggestion.
And something that I ask every time when I'm in a room full of people: who's your state senator? I don't know. Who's your assembly person? I don't know. Who's your city council person? I don't know. Who's your mayor? You. So one must do an analysis of who represents me and are they representing me based on the things that are important to me. The disengagement that we have until the mess hit the fan, then everyone wants to be engaged. We need to be proactive and say, okay, here's my state senator. Where do you stand on this issue? Why aren't you saying we need to vote on this right now? We all need to know who our assembly person, our state senator, our council person, and all those who represent us. There's a real need of a civic lesson so we can reclaim the narrative of our city.
I get it, and I hear you, and I knew you were going to answer that question like that because I know it's out of your hands. It's just based on the little skirmishes.
Yes,
they've been little skirmishes. That's
3,000. We had 3,000 protests in this city, and
since October 7th.
Yes, and the New York City Police Department is being stretched thin. Some of these cops are doing 12-hour, 13-hour tours to make sure that these cities the city's not going to become what other cities are doing. They've been monitoring this. Now, a lot of people say to me, Eric, well, just stop it. I can't. It's against the law.
Wait, the protest.
Exactly. I can't. But we have been stopping from blocking bridges, blocking tunnels, from using flame. We have fully used our power to make sure that our city doesn't go up in flame.
I see it, I get it, and I'm concerned about it because
it should be.
There's little pushing and fighting, and I think that if you go to these rallies, that's kind of like you're looking for that on both sides of it. It becomes like capture the flag or kick the can or something like that. But I am concerned that something worse is going to happen.
And you should be, and I'm very candid about it that I've never seen this level of comfort in being anti-American and being anti-Jewish and being anti-anti. The minority leader of the counsel. He was with me yesterday when we were talking about the Donald Trump shooting, and he said something that was really profound and powerful. He says, anger is one thing, hate is another. Anger should inspire us. You know, being beat by police officers made me angry, and it inspired me. You know, seeing my mother being betrayed by not getting the services she needed for the six of us made me angry, but it inspired me. Hate is another thing. Hate is calling out to destroy and kill Jews. Hate is saying destroy America. That's hate. Hate is taking an automatic weapon, sitting on the roof and shooting Donald Trump because you have a disagreement with his policy. Instead of saying, I'm angry, so I'm going to mobilize and get the candidate I run or run for office. So we are dealing with hate right now in this country and really across the globe. People believe I need to harm you because of I hate you. And that's what we're really fighting against.
Did you mentioned 9/11, you know, the one of the things, one of the many, because we're fighting two fights. As a Jewish person and in Israel, there's the fight against Hamas, there's the fight on the ground in Gaza, there's the fight, hopefully the war that's looming with Hezbollah, and then for the first time ever, there's a war going on with these phones.
Oh, definite. Very, very, you're 100%. You know, this is the fable of Troy and the Trojan horse. These phones are Trojan horses. They're in our bedrooms, in our bathrooms, everywhere we go. And the algorithms understand, how do I pull you in a darker place? Increase in suicidal ideation, increase in depression, increase in violence. You're able to radicalize a child now from across the globe, and you're able to connect pain. And these algorithms, that's why we're suing these social media companies, and that's why we're saying, Dr. Fassan, my commissioner of the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, has said this is a public health emergency. You know, we need to be clear what these devices are doing. These devices are like crack.
Straight up.
You know, you can't.
Straight up.
You know,
and I'm strung out, but I had a good life before I was strung out.
Right.
And I'm aware that I'm strung out. So the first step is acknowledging I'm strung out.
Well said. We all are. We all are. And so the question is how do we start?
But I played kick the can.
Yes.
I played in the BRC.
Right.
I played pickup. I wandered the streets looking and not looking down.
We don't have any of that right now.
It's really bad.
It is. And we have to meet it head on.
What I was going to specifically ask you about, and then I'm going to move on again because I know we don't have a lot of time. Did you ever think in New York City, post 9/11, there was signs for missing people all over the city? They were never, ever ripped down. They were like, we were bleeding, we were crying.
Right.
To see the posters of the hostages still to this day, and again, this is just a sentiment. It doesn't bring back the hostages or get back the hostages. But for me as a New Yorker, to see those posters being ripped down every single day, you would never see post 9/11 honor the martyrs. That's when I first got this term martyrs, that the people that knocked down the World Trade Center were martyrs. In Colombia, honor the martyrs. Did you ever, just as a New Yorker, as a man, did you ever think that would be going on in the city that you love and the city that you're the mayor of?
No, to be honest with you, no, particularly after September 11th. And I remember going down there, watching the ground smoldering, watching, just the impact of it. A lot of people don't realize, and many people weren't even born when those buildings collapsed, how impactful it was. So I did not believe I would see this level of anti-Americanism and anti-Jewish. The anti-Semitism is real.
It's real.
And if we don't meet it head on and we ignore it, we have a real problem. I always tell people, when you have 18%, only 18% of 18 to 34-year-olds really love America. That's our bench. That's our AAA. That's our D-League. And if you grow up hating your country, hating your jersey that you're wearing, that's a real impact. How are you ever going to root for a team that you dislike? And when you see that radicalization that's going on and it has been normalized, it has been hip, that's a real danger that we cannot continue to ignore.
I agree. I love New York. I know you love New York. I said a couple of weeks ago after this motherfucker, and I know you're from Brownsville, that punk ass bitch was on the train and said, are there any Zionists on the train? If there's any Zionists, get off the train. At that same day, that Nova exhibit, a couple of weeks before, had nothing to do with Israel and anti-Semitism, to see those cops get jumped in Times Square and then released and come out of the prison like Tupac with the red jersey. I said that being a proud New Yorker who's always been proud and loud about this is the greatest city on earth, do you feel like with those things you can truly say that New York City is the greatest city on earth?
Without a doubt, without a doubt. Listen, kid you not, I meet with my mayors and communicate with them. They would tell you. They argue about the second and third and fourth city, but they say, listen, there's no place like New York. You know, people wake up saying one day I hope to live in New York City. And listen, we got 8.3 million people, 35 million opinions. We're going to have stuff. You know, let's not kid ourselves. You know, everybody's not going to walk in unison. Everyone is not going to be singing Kumbaya. We're going to have stuff because not only do we have a large number of people, but we have people coming from all over the globe. This is the United Nations of cities, and people are going to bring all that stuff with them. But the overwhelming number of people know that this is a place where dreams come alive. I mean, where do you go from being in the mailroom to becoming the mayor? You know, I mean, think about it.
I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
There's incredible stories here.
Dreams come alive here.
But okay, specifically,
Yes.
what is your heart as a cop, a former cop, when you see, forget that they're migrants, illegal migrants, put their hands on a police officer, let alone jump them, and then come out of jail the next day? Where are we?
I'm clear, and it angers all of us. You know, when you look at this migrants and asylum issue, you know, people say, Mayor, what are you doing to us? No one really understood that 206,000 have arrived in our city. It's against federal law for me to stop the buses from coming in. I can't stop it.
I get it.
It's against federal law that if I wanted them to work, I'm not allowed to do so. And even if I want them to volunteer and give them a stipends, that's against federal law. Local law requires me to give 3 meals a day, food, wash clothing, educate 38,000 people, spend over $4 billion.
3 meals a day.
3 meals a day.
There's people in the Ville that are only getting one.
Well, no, in this city, everyone wants to believe that, hey, you treat the migrants better than you treat everyday New York. That's just not the truth. New Yorkers, long-term New Yorkers, get far more than when any migrant. Anything from housing vouchers, anyone that needs food in this city, there's places to go to get the food. So we make sure that long-term New Yorkers are getting, but we want to treat people with humanity, because this is a city of immigrants. Let's not kid ourselves.
100%.
You know, and we want to treat people with dignity and respect. And these people are paroled into the country. They're not doing it right, in my opinion. But I have an obligation to make sure that we're safe. Now, we have people who want to break the law, do stick-ups. Not only am I upset when they attack police officers, but I am angry that you go and you rape a young girl in the park and then video that. I'm angry that you ride around in a scooter and you're doing stick-ups and robbing people. What I have said is that if a person commits a crime, a serious violent crime in our city, after they serve their time, we need to turn them over to ICE. You should not be in our city if you are not, if you want to bring violence to our city.
100%. 100%. Because I know it had to infuriate you when that fucking kid got out of jail after jumping a cop, giving the finger to photographers. I know you got to go. I think you live politically between a Democratic rock and a Republican hard place. I think you'll never admit it. I think because you're a cop, you're a Democrat, I think you live in that area. If you, Mayor Adams, could wave your magic wand and change one law in New York City, what would it be?
Well, first.
Don't give me the give first. It's a good question. I crafted that puppy all morning.
Here's the thing. We're so caught up on labels. I'm a New Yorker and I'm American. And I believe in this country, and it pisses people off when you allow yourself to be put in a box. They try to define you. You know, there's some days I'm conservative on things, and there's some days when I'm liberal on things.
I get it.
You know, I believe our city should be safe, and no innocent person should be the victim of crimes in the city, and we should be allowed to have an opportunity. We've been betraying people, and so sometimes I was with Borelli, the minority leader yesterday of the city council, who's a Republican, but he was right. And I wanted to stand beside him. And I think right now, it's not about common sense. It's not about dollars and cents. It's about common sense. We just need common sense approach to solving problems. The law that I would love to see a change is to zero in on repeated offenders. Those who constantly commit a crime. You look at Detective Dillard, Jonathan Dillard. The person who shot him was arrested 20 times. You know, when you look at 500, I think 42 people who are arrested for shoplifting have been arrested over 7,600 times. 38 people who assaulted transit employees were arrested over 1,100 times. These repeated small number of people are committing a disproportionate amount of crime. I think we need to stop them and make the city. It could make the city safe.
Who does that?
Albany.
My final question: New York City is a betting state. We could bet in the state of New York. I just want to know, if you were a betting man.
Yes.
I'm not going to ask if you are or you aren't.
Yes.
By the way, I'm wearing a suit, Mayor Adams.
I play CeeLo.
Okay. I don't know what the hell's going on here. By the way, I'm wearing this suit. It's custom. I whipped it out for you. If you were a betting man, based on everything we know today, and in politics, November is like 7 years from now. So many things will change by November. If you were a betting man, not who you want, not who you're voting for, I wouldn't ask you that. Who do you think, if you were betting the house, who do you think will be the president of the United States November 5th?
That's a great question. And you said something that I thought was very profound. You said November is a lifetime away.
It's incredible.
And you just don't know how this stuff changes. You go back and look at Biden when he ran. Remember, he was all but gone when he ran for president. Everybody said, listen, it's over. Then all of a sudden, he was at the Carolina fish fry. He got a big endorsement by a very respectable leader who, basically leaned on it. So what happened over the weekend? You just don't know how this turns out. I think Biden has done some great things for this country. He came to the city when we were dealing with crime issues, our economy. He was able to. People thought our economy was going to go into the tank. He was able to turn it around. He has that ability to bring people together. And he had a bad debate. And I just think
he had a bad big boy press conference Thursday, which that got swept under because.
Listen, and he's honest about it. Listen, I'm not the person who I was, I'm not, with time you slow down. None of us are the person who we were, Who are we kidding?
Get it.
Everybody's looking at him saying, well, you're not who you used to be. And I say, yeah, and you're not
I get
who
it.
you used to be,
But if you were a betting man, based on everything we know today, are you even allowed to answer that question? Is it too good of a question?
I can hope.
You could say, Mike Rapp, it's too good of a question.
No.
You could say, I got you there.
I hope that is who's going to continue the success that he has done. But you never know how this stuff turns out. You never know what could happen. But my hope, I support President Biden. I coined myself the Biden of Brooklyn. I think that from my interactions with him, his heart is in the right place. He's a blue-collar person, went through tragedies. He turned pain into purpose over and over again. And I am hoping that he will continue to be the president of the United States.
Do you have hopes and aspirations of one day being a president? You'd be a good president.
Listen, why be the president when you could run the country from New York? There's only two types of Americans, those who live in New York and those who wish they could.
Mr. Mayor,
good to see you,
Eric
man.
Adams, it's an honor, a privilege to
mine.
interview you, and I really respect you, and I really appreciate you coming in here and cursing. And we're going to cut the cameras and play CeeLo.